I'd like to welcome you to the July Golf Advisory Meeting at this time. And the first item on the agenda is the election of officers. First up is chair. If I can have nominations from the floor.
I nominate Ruth Hatcher.
Is there any other nominations? Going once?
The only thing we ask is we encourage the committee to ask the person if they want the position. It's usually not relevant except for the secretary position, but don't want to elect anybody that's unwilling.
Ruth, you want it?
Yeah, I'll take it.
All right, you got it.
Okay, so nominations have ceased. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Opposed? I'll abstain. Vice chair. Nominations for vice chair.
I'll nominate the current vice chair.
Which is? Mr. Armstrong. Okay. Second?
Second that.
Any other nominations from the floor?
You want it, John?
Yeah, because I don't have to do the golf.
We'll find something for him to do, trust me. Okay, nomination ceased. All those in favor? Aye. Okay. Secretary. We need nomination for secretary.
Oh, there you go. Who's not here?
He just said they had to be asked.
That's how Mark did last time.
Yeah.
Kimla? That's me, that's just Curl. That's Curl. Jim, you want to do it? Jerry? Alex? Any volunteers? Any volunteers?
Any volunteers?
Okay, then I nominate Kimla.
Okay. Okay.
You snooze, you lose, baby.
Any other nominations? You'll get to call her and tell her, by the way. Okay, any others? Anybody else willing to step up?
Don't we have a new person coming on?
That's a possibility, so, yeah.
Well, they can talk about it.
Okay, since Kimmel's the only one, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, Mr. Armstrong, since you've nominated her, you get to keep notes today, since she's not here.
All right. I need a paper and pencil.
See how easy life is? Okay. If only the November elections go this smoothly. Approval of the May 8th minutes.
I move that we approve the meeting.
A second? Okay, all those in favor? Okay. Reviews for the golf facilities. I have Kimla's, and she has, must be the driving range, because Highlands Temporary Teaching Tee has worked very well in giving privacy to individuals seeking lessons, so it's been filtered out to the back so that it's not up line, so everybody sees, et cetera. So it's worked well for the time being, and hopefully before long we'll be back at tenured. So, Gary.
Highlands, not a lot of report on the operations. Everything was going very well.
Speak, your speaker.
Not a lot of things going on. The operations is running very well. Alex is doing a good job, and all the staff is good. I hear a lot of comments from my golfers that I interface with about the fairways. And I think at some point we may want to put something out in writing and a new update or something as to what we're doing as far as testing, sprigging, sodding, and so forth, just to keep them informed. I usually talk to them about, you know, the experiments we're doing on 1 and 18, and that usually helps them out. But I think they need to know, because there's a lot of bad spots on the Highlands fairways, and I'm sure Graham's going to talk about that in his report. Other than that, it's going well.
Okay.
Oh, I should say that we had a Friends of the Highland 4th of July event on Thursday, and it was extremely successful. We raised about $5,000 for the Friends of Highlands, so that'll all go back into helping out. And if you have any ideas of how we can spend it, let us know. But anyway, the staff and Alex did a wonderful job. It was really good.
Good. Thank you. Jerry?
Scottsdale is one that's recovering from a lot of turf being put down, different spots in the fairways, and we played it today, and I would tell you that they are right on top of it. It's really doing a good job of filling in. They were finishing up with some sod work today. I know they had some places, bare places that were cut out, and they're getting those in today. And I'd like to commend Kyle and his group for the work that they've put in over there. They really have got the course to where we can be proud of it after that winter. They've got the greens. They did punch the greens and sanded them and everything. They're on their way to recovery. They're rolling pretty quick. They're still a little rough at this point because it's just it hadn't been very long since we've done that. But they did roll very well today. Actually had to fix a couple of ball marks today. Usually that's not the case over there. So, but doing a great job. And whoever came up with the idea of putting those rubber mats in high traffic areas, walking up to, what is that, 12? 15, walking there. And then I've seen some on another course or two, some places that's awesome. I mean, you can't even hardly tell they're there right now because it's nearly completely grown over. That was always bare, nothing there. So that's a great deal. They're finishing all those fairways up, and everything is just looking really good right now. We get everybody else caught up on it, and we'll be good.
Thank you, Jerry. Jim?
Yeah, I have the country club, and the golf shop I think is exceptional. Everybody's in there really friendly. Merchandise looks great. I think it really kind of sets the standard for the Bella Vista courses. Cart barn's well maintained. Attendance staff very friendly. Course I think still a little bit rough, but I know they're working on those situations. They did have a question about the debris between 10 and 11, the debris by the bridge, and then there's some other trees and stuff. I don't know what we're doing with those.
Okay, thank you. Dave?
Kingswood and Burksdale, of course, we've got the temporary pro shop in the area there, and the guys in there are friendly as can be, and they're doing as best they can with what they've got to work with, anticipating in the very near future that we're going to be moving into a beautiful facility there. Carts are always clean, well positioned, everything's fine as far as that goes. Burksdale, they've got the cart path redone there now where we had the issues, and so that looks great. I drove down it and it looks real good. Other than that, the courses at Burksdale is in pretty darn good shape. The greens hadn't been played on for a while, so I got an opportunity to really grow in pretty well, and Kingswood's on its way too, so it's all good.
Okay, thank you. Greg?
At Dogwood Brittany and the Pro Shop, Cart Barn, everything looks great. They've got the merchandise and everything in there looking really good. Getting very positive feedback as far as the course goes. Sod is coming in really good. Still a few bare spots, but it's pretty much the more common bare spots that are in the shade. Never gets quite as much of the sun, but greens are firm, quick, playing well, so good. Everything's good.
Okay, thank you. Any questions from anybody on the course reviews? Okay, moving right along. Graham? You're up.
So I sent out,
Mike.
I sent out my report to Ruth and Jessica to get it included if you guys wanted to follow along. Basically, we did summer aeration in the month of June on tees and collars, all courses. And I'll say that process, because besides Scottsdale, hadn't really been done on the other courses in a while. We had some severe compaction. And so we have 5 machines and only 4 of them made it through that process. intact. So had to do some repair work on all of our units, getting them back ready for the following week when we had to aerify Scottsdale and Brittany Golf Course greens. So it was a bit of a challenge. I think moving forward on the tees and collars, we'd want to look at doing that twice a year to try to really get better growing conditions for our turf on our tees and collars. So that's something we'll look at with Daryl and all our superintendents and everybody, and make sure we can hopefully get that done in years to come. So we've got another greens aeration on Scottsdale and Brittany, and that is August 24th and 25th coming up next month. So as you guys know, winter kill was a huge problem this spring, and it's kind of lingering into summer. We've laid 3.5 acres of turf so far. We've got 1.5 acres of turf being laid this week into next week. We anticipate pretty much anything large is going to be sodded by the end of next week. So that includes all the spots on the highlands. Me and Greg measured everything this morning, and we're going to get all that stuff taken care of.
We're sodding with
Bermuda grass. So, and I'll go into the zoysia grass here in a minute. So, and then for the smaller areas, we're continuing to slice, continuing to give those areas extra fertilizer to try to promote more growth, and while we have great growing conditions this summer. And that's something that we will continue while we can. And as we move into fall, we're going to look at some fertilizer applications going into the fall to make sure we give our Bermuda grass the best chance it can to come out of spring in the best shape it can. So that's something we're going to be looking at. The zoysia trials we've done. Number 1 Highlands had a lot of winter kill. We decided to sod the entire fairway with zoysia grass, Myers zoysia. Wanted to get an idea of how long that would take to establish, what we could expect, when we could begin playing on it. So Greg was able to open that 21 days after we planted. To pretty good conditions. It's not 100% by any means, but I think it's certainly playable. And you guys can see from that picture, that's number one. Highlands.
That was zoysia?
That's all zoysia grass now. The entire fairway is zoysia, number 1. It's roped off to cart traffic, and it won't be opened for a while to cart traffic. However, it will be someday, and I can tell you, I've worked at a club in Tulsa, did 40,000 rounds a year on Myers zoysia fairways, and they withheld, or they stood up to the traffic really, really nicely. Never had an issue from cart traffic. So I think it's going to be a great grass for us here. With our, we have a pretty high utilization here around, a lot of rounds here. So we also wanted to look at the less instant process. So we looked at sprigging. We used the sod to sprig process, and you guys may have seen the video we released, and it was basically they take large roll sod and it shreds it, and then there's a slicer that cuts it into the ground, and then we roll behind it, and then you have to begin watering it. So we did that on number 18 at 3 different sprig rates. Zoysia grass in general is going to be a slower growing grass than Bermuda as far as filling in laterally, getting to where we could open it up for play. So we did three sprig rates. The standard sprig rate on the first third of the fairway, if you were looking at it from the tee to green, the first third of that fairway was sprigged at the standard rate. The middle third of that fairway was sprigged at the double rate, and the third of the fairway closest to the green was at the triple rate. And so our goal was, typically if you're sprigging zoysia, and this information came from Dr. Mike Richardson at University of Arkansas, if you were to sprig zoysia grass, the ideal time to plant would be March. And so we were planting in mid-June, and we were already kind of behind the 8 ball, because the first 3 to 4 weeks of sprigging, that grass has to, begin rooting, and then it can start growing laterally and growing upward. So you already lose 3 to 4 weeks there just in the establishment piece of it. So he recommends planting in March. And then by the time spring comes around with good growing weather, the grass is starting to move, and you can expect about a 12-week growing. So our goal this year is basically, if we can get at least 75% zoysia grass, I would feel pretty comfortable with the sod to sprig process of planting zoysia. And the reason we wanted to look at this was doing this process is 1/10 of the cost of sodding. Pretty significant. It's very significant. So can we live with a 12-week growing instead of 21 days? That's what I think we want to see first. Make sure we we can do this, it works here, and then make a decision later if that's the way that the POA wants to go.
That's compared to the first time, the first third acres, or the first group, the 10-to-1 for the price?
Yeah,
Okay.
Okay. Any way you wanted to look at it, it would be a
Okay.
tenth of the
Yeah.
cost
Yeah.
of sod. So my next few pictures, Blade Runner Farms down in San Antonio, they are a breeder of zoysia grasses, and they agreed to give us 4 pallets of sod, different varieties that we could look at and potentially see if there was a better variety than Meyer. So we went and picked those grasses up. One is called Jammer. It's a little bit wider bladed. It's similar to Meyer in its winter survivability. Xeon is the same fairway grass that have the blessings. Prism is a very dwarfed grass that they claim you can use tee to green, so it can be a greens height. You can mow it down to greens height. You can mow it at tee height, fairway height, and you can just kind of use one grass, tee to green. That's what that grass was bred for. Stadium is a newer variety of zoysia. You can see on this picture it's kind of scalped. It was very grainy. It's supposed to be a very fast grower, but you can see when we mowed it for the first time, it scalped the top off where it was the grass was kind of growing into the direction the mower was passing in. So we've got a few things to look at this summer. Meyer is the standard tried and true in this area and further north. Not going to it's going to be a very low likelihood of taking any winter damage. And they use it as far north as northern Missouri, potentially further north. I'm not aware if there's anything further north, but there probably is. I know there's some up in Indiana, so certainly using that grass further north, Meyer's zoysia grass. So we talked about last time we met, trying blue muta. I talked to several superintendents. I think it's worth a shot here on a smaller scale just to see. I got some positive and negative feedback, but I think it's certainly something we can look at here and see if we can make it successful. So what we want to do in a high traffic area around the Bella Vista Country Club putting green, we've got those track mats which you were referencing. We have those installed out there, and we have a little bit more work to do on the walkway down that we're going to do the track mats, and then when we get into fall, we're going to use the Kentucky bluegrass seed around that entire green all the way down the cart path and kind of have that whole thing be a blue muta. It's going to get plenty of traffic. We'll see. I think the negative that I got was it's very hard to keep weeds out of. You've got Kentucky bluegrass, which is a bluegrass, and you've got Poania, which is annual bluegrass. So it's very hard to keep. I think it's going to be a challenge keeping weeds out of the stand, but we're going to give it a shot and see. And if it doesn't work, it's very easy to clean up. So I think it's worth a look. So we'll give it a shot. Going to the capital project update, Tanyard Creek, we're moving right along. You can see from the picture, this is the Astro Bermuda grass that we did. We used the sod to sprig process on this. It's about 6 weeks old in this picture. It's been mowed regularly at this point. We have installed drainage on the tee, and we sprigged the tee yesterday. We anticipate about 6 weeks growing time. The sod we got to use for the sod to sprig process on the tees was very, very green, very healthy, and it looks really good right now after being down for a full day. You can see from this picture, this was the drainage we installed on the tee top, and we have also seeded the greens, bent grass greens, which back when Keith was here, they chose 777 bent grass, which is a very heat tolerant, disease resistant, kind of one of the newer super bents that are bred for these really good putting characteristics. So we were able to seed that in midsummer, which is kind of maybe not something you could do with the older varieties, but certainly with these new heat tolerant varieties, we were able to seed in midsummer. We're 17 days on this picture. Reed is anticipating mowing that tomorrow for the first time, and it looks really good. So, and then just to wrap up my report, the contractor Fleetwood that did all the work at the Tanyard, from the dirt work and the golf course type construction, they have left, and their plan is once the building is pretty much done to a point where the exterior is finished and they're only working on interior items, they will come back. They'll do all finished grade work, all finished sod work that's remaining. down to the new asphalt parking lot and any curbs, sidewalks that are around, finish the bunker at the chipping green, and then we'll be able to wrap up our piece of that project. Any questions?
Yeah, I had a question about between 10 and 11, there was a bunch of driftwood or something right after that bridge. Are we gonna leave?
No, our plan is to clean that up.
Okay,
Our reed's
okay.
been stretched pretty thin.
Oh, I know, it's a big job, I
Yeah,
think.
yeah.
Okay.
Graham, can you give us your sense of how these projects are moving along? I know you say you're optimistic. Give us your sense after being here now for what, 4 months, 5 months?
I got it in April 1.
Yeah, so, what are the challenges for you? What are things that you expected and maybe some unexpected things?
I think when I got here, everything was still dormant, so certainly didn't really think we would have necessarily this much winter kill that we were dealing with, but it's a fact of life with Bermuda grass in this climate that's a potential, especially with the winter we had. So dealing with that, I think, was maybe the biggest surprise. I think and that leads into the biggest opportunity, which I think is to if you could solve that problem moving forward, how much more time our superintendents would have back and not have to deal with all of this sod work, and that's going to be a huge benefit to the quality of golf that we have out here.
If that experiment on 18 on Highlands works, is that the goal then, to replace almost all of our fairways with that grass? If the POA can approve that?
If we were to approve it, and we could almost eliminate 99% plus of any potential winter kill, I think that would be a huge opportunity for us.
Cool.
Other questions for Graham?
Cost-wise, when we did on an annual basis, when we do our over-sodding of bad areas, what does it cost us a year in the past, if you know, just that we would spend on regular sod, just cleaning up areas that are bad?
I can't speak to prior years because I haven't looked, but I know this year we're going to be close to $100,000 in sod work across all the courses.
All the courses, $100,000. And what do you think it's cost if we was to sprig Highlands, all the fairways? What are we talking about?
If we own the machines,
yeah,
and those are about $30,000 a piece, you could sprig the fairways, depending on rate, for anywhere from $60,000 to $90,000, and that would be. I don't think the one standard rate is enough. I think that the 2X might get us there, and the 3X is certainly going to get us.
Well, you could actually sprig 3X close to the green and 2X every place else if you can vary it as you desire. Potentially
you could do that. So I think that's what we got to learn this year. Is it possible? And that's what I was really excited about, trying this and seeing if this was a potential way forward for us.
If we were to approve sprigging Highlands, when would you do it?
March.
You'd do it in March, okay. And it would be closed for basically 3 or 4 months.
Well, I mean, it would be different in March because you don't have to water it like we had to when we planted in June. We had to water it every hour to keep those sprigs wet. Now, I think there'll be some watering probably, unless we're getting rain, but you won't have to keep it as wet as we did. Mm-hmm. And so the goal there, or the thought process there, is you get the grass in the ground, and then it starts rooting, and then by the time the warmer temperatures come, it's already somewhat established, and then from that point it can start creeping out and moving, and then maybe you could get. I really don't know, but I don't want to say anything really, but there may be an opportunity where you don't have to necessarily be closed the full 12 weeks. Maybe you get to a point where you're at a certain weak point. You're like, okay, maybe we could let limited play or something out there if that was required or needed or wanted, whatever the case may be. I think somewhere between 10 and 12 weeks you would be able to get there though.
Now that's 60 to 90,000 for the entire course?
For one golf course.
Yeah.
If you own the machines, which are $30,000. If you pay a contractor to do it, it's much more expensive. Much more expensive.
Is this a discussion we're gonna have at the end of the meeting about capital improvements? So we can talk some more.
Any other questions for Brent? Thank you, Brent. Gerald, let's move on.
All right, moving on, I'm going to cover just the June round numbers. We ended at 26,222, down 133 over last year. Membership rounds at 14,839, down 500. Guest rounds went up a little bit by 454. I just want to jump down, point out that Berksdale was closed for 25 days of the month of June. That really hurt quite a bit due to the floods and the cart path stuff. And I just want to give a shout out to the work that was done out there from that. And everything was done. We have a lot of compliments on it. We changed the grade a little bit. And now, for the first time, I'm going to announce that we are going to allow private carts on Berksdale. So with the slope and everything, so I know our membership have been chomping at the bit. I've done multiple tests, safety tests, the different lightnesses of the private carts, the torque of the private carts, and we can get up and down. I just want to warn everybody, be safe when it is, be careful when it is raining. Anything can slip and rain, even on a car park up here on flat ground. Carts do turn over. So just be careful out there, but so we're going to have some private carts back on Berksdale. So that's really good. Like I said, slightly down on rounds in June, but overall, year to date, we had 96,507. That is up by 3,304. Last year was a record year, and we're up by 3,000. So we're going to keep going. Membership rounds are up by 3,000. Membership rounds are up by 1,700, and guest rounds are up by 1,500. What I like to point out is I love to see our membership rounds creeping up a little bit above our guest rounds. A lot of people are under the impression that guest rounds are blowing out of the sky. They're not. We are seeing younger people out there, and they're all members. So it's not all guests. So they're kind of going together, but our membership rounds are kind of creeping up, which is really exciting to see. And that's due to all the programs we're doing and everything that's happening out there in the Gulf. Pro Shop, we finished at 115 to budget, which is great. One thing do point out, at Range Buckets at 23,352, we down 17,000 due to Tanya Creek. And Highlands is rocking. Paul Alex's crew out there. My son's out there picking balls. It's crazy. It is busy. Yesterday they were lying deep, too deep out there, and they're just sitting waiting for their spot to get on the mats and play. It's busy. So that's my round reports, which is pretty exciting. Let's see if we can keep it going. This year we're trending pretty nicely. This weather's definitely helping. I want to advise people, it is hot out there. When it is hot out there, be prepared when you come to a golf course when it's hot. You know, we're not a facility that says you're not allowed to bring outside beverages in. You can bring a cooler, bring your own ice, bring the stuff. Don't rely on our staff and some of our stuff, because midday, once the crowd's been through, we can't keep up with those ice machines and the water on the golf course. Come prepared. You know you're going to go play golf, bring the stuff with you, put it in your cooler. I do it all the time. I take a little bit of extra just in case when I know it's going to be 90 degrees. So I encourage our membership just to realize that out there. We do the best we can. We also have a limited staff. But I want to give a shout out to my crew, one of the members that brought to our attention, and we are trolling around the golf course as best we can when we have somebody just checking on our elderly members and saying, you need some water, you need some ice. We're doing the best we can. We don't have a full-time person that can do that. But when we have our overlaps in the crew and we have staff that can do it, that aren't picking golf balls all the time, they get out there and take care of our membership. So I appreciate you guys on that. I want to jump on to Tanya Creek. I've got some great pictures I just want to show you, and I'm going to be a little bit of a Vanna White up there, if you want to call me a Vanna White. No, I'm kidding. But what okay, Tom, settle down. But what we put this out there. We've got quite a few emails coming in and Facebook that's happening. First of all, where's the artificial turf? I don't see it out there. So what's going on? So just to show everybody, he's gonna give me a mic. See, I need a mic too. All right, for everybody at home, so we can see in here. There's the building. We've got 8 bays. covered. We'll have heaters and fans underneath there, and you'll be able to utilize that. That is artificial. The concrete's not down. That's the biggest thing. They're not seeing the concrete down. Well, that's going to be the last thing we put down. And then we'll have stairs coming up, and then you'll have a bunch of bays going between the green and the tee box all the way along here. So you got all the way along there, all across here. Here is one of the biggest practice putting greens I've seen. It is absolutely phenomenal. A lot of people have said, why don't we have a lot of slope on it? It's there to practice your stroke, to get your stroke going through. It's not to practice the breaks on the golf course, because that will be different to on country club. It's here to practice, to get your stroke down, and we'll be able to do a lot of clinics out there. So it's kind of exciting. We can do things like 18-hole contests out there putting. So that's really cool. There's our building. We'll have our simulator will be under here. We have a big pro shop in here. We have the bar area. We'll have the 2 indoor teaching bays and fitting bays, fully equipped with all the technical stuff. We pop over here, which is really exciting. We have our chipping green with bunker here, and there's going to be a bunker on this side. That's got slopes, so balls will stop and not just skid off and roll all the way back. This will all be grassed around here, and there's going to be a chipping area onto that. So that's kind of where it is. The parking lot will start about here and roll backwards. If we look out on what Keith and Graham have done over the years, this is probably the prettiest view. Looks like a golf course heading straight on up, especially with the dam from this height. You can't see the dam when you're getting down there. But that's where it is. Those are fake bunkers. Do people remark on Facebook, so you're going to send people out there to rake the bunkers? No, it's artificial turf. It's in there, and we will create greens out there with lots of targets. So really, it's a great practice facility. Just to let everybody know, we've got people driving from Fort Smith, from up at Joplin, coming and looking at it. Pros that are saying, what are you guys doing? This is going to be cool. So they're coming down and having a look. Very proud of it, and we should be, and our membership should be as well. So that's kind of the overview on that. The next slide. We're going on. I'll just show you some snippets inside. Greenbird has worked with us. They're an interior designer, and we worked in. We got to have the simulator named The Cave. All right. So The Cave is where you go hang out. You book your time on there. You drink beer. You watch your buddies shank a ball for number 7 at Pebble Beach into the water. That's kind of what that's going to happen over there. Pretty cool. Some TVs for sport. We'll be able to play games on the simulator, everything from NFL games to whatever you want that's happening. As you walk in, there's our bar. Very exciting. You can sit in there, you can look out, watch people hitting golf balls. We'll also have a serve-up window out here, so you can come in. You don't have to come inside. You can get your beverages and walk back out. And there's our counter, and all the balls will be cleaned in the back. Also, get a grip or grip it. The grips will be on the side here, and they'll be gripping all the grips and be all good to go. And then the pro shop's on this side. Great colors, a modern look, and Greenbird and Leslie Terry have done a great job putting this together, and we're excited to get it rolling. So that's kind of the overview as far as Tanya Creek's going. It's on time right now, so we'll keep going.
Have you thought about what you're going to charge for the simulator?
It depends who you are. We have already. We'll have that broken down. We've got a membership level, and then we've got a guest level, and we presented it to the board. And when it gets close to the time, we'll have it all drawn up, and I'll present it to everybody.
Do you have an estimated time of when this is going to be done?
We don't. Well, right now, the building's going to be in hand in October. Growing period's the biggest thing that we're looking at. Don't want to open something half open or half ready. It's not going to be worth it. By that time, season's dying down. I want to make sure we're ready and protect the product that we have.
So most likely next year. We're looking at next spring.
Next spring, or maybe we open for winter series on the simulator in fall. Something like that, yeah.
Okay.
All right. Oh, there we go. I didn't see. Oh, yeah. I've got to do that too. Though. The tour, that's a big one, open to the public, August 20th, 4 p.m. We'll be down there walking through it. It's going to be a great stuff. I do advise everybody when you come down there, be careful where you park. It is a construction site. There's a lot of stuff happening down there, but we will advertise that and get everybody out there to come and have a look and show what we're proud of.
Questions on Tangent?
Canyon's going to be the envy of the area.
Oh, big time.
It'll be, you're gonna have people coming in here looking at it and saying,
So I just want to point out, I've had a couple of people ask me, and it's been on Facebook, it's not a Top Golf. It's a practice facility. It's where you hone in. It's got proper golf balls. You got proper greens to putt off. It's a whole different experience. It's not a Top Golf. But we included a little bit of beverage, a little indoor simulator, and everybody can have a little bit of fun. So that's the biggest thing. Don't compare it that you can come and hit in the bays out to the field and you have Angry Birds like they do in Top Golf. They don't have anything like that. It's to work on your skills as a practice center. So that's kind of excited on that. All right, moving quickly. Kingsdale's coming along good. Office furniture all got delivered, and we're looking for all the fixtures to come in a couple of weeks, and then we'll start putting that together. We will tie that opening in when we open BB65. We want to make sure it all opens together. So Paul's got to chop the bit just a little bit in this little cave down there in the cart barn. We're leaving him behind. We might leave him in that building. There we go. But we're very excited. Leslie Terry's done a great job. The new products coming in quick. The new golf bags with the new emblem logo on it looks phenomenal. So that's very exciting stuff, and it's exciting to be here in the support of the board and the membership for what we're doing in golf. It's exciting. Lots of work, but it's pretty good. That's all I got. I want to touch one thing real quick. There's been a couple of chatter on Facebook about walking on golf courses. I'm here to say we're going to revamp our words a little bit, but really walking on golf courses, if you're not playing golf, is unsafe. That's one big thing people don't realize is you don't know what a golf ball is going to do. Heck, golfers don't know what their golf ball is going to do. They can go around a corner and they can have somebody coming around with some equipment, some of Kyle's equipment, and come around a blind corner and someone's walking there. It's unsafe. So people think, oh, it's fine, there's no golfers on the golf course, but they don't realize we've got a 530 shotgun about to tee off. And they're out there on hole 3, and all of a sudden you got 70 golfers heading your way, and now they're stuck. So Facebook, I've spoken to a couple of people on Facebook neighbors, and we're going to revamp it a little bit, put it out there, but there's so many great walking trails in Bella Vista. There's lots. You can get out there from hard surface to soft surfaces. Leave the golf courses for the golfers. They pay to be on there, and that's where it is. Safety is the first thing. I would hate somebody to be hit, and they just don't understand that that golf ball goes anywhere. Hits a car path, hits a tree, can hit you wherever, and you don't know who's coming around the corner. So please, I urge membership. If you see walkers out there, call the pro shops. We'll come out, visit with them, and say, look, come on, it's for your own safety. All right, so that's about all we got. Any questions for me? Thank you.
Questions for Darryl? If not, Alex.
Okay. Thank you. We're about in the middle of our event calendar. Since last meeting, we've had the Alzheimer's event out at Kingswood. Had 100 players for that, so it's just slightly below capacity, but it went extremely well. I think everyone that played was real happy with everything. We had our first junior camp in the middle of June there, and we were full for that. We had 40 kids out. I think everybody had a great time. We're already full for junior camp in July, which is next week. So we have reached capacity for both of those, and really 40 kids is about all that Highlands practice area can handle at any one given time. We've tested that out. On the way, we've got the All in the Family event, July the 27th. That's a Saturday. That's going to be at Kingswood. Currently, we have 104 players for that, so we're nearing capacity. So I would encourage anybody that wants to get in that, you need to do that relatively quickly. The Parent-Child Championship at the Brittany Golf Course, Saturday, August the 10th. And then we've just opened up registration for the Men's Club Championship and the Senior Men's Club Championship. That's on Saturday and Sunday, August 17th and 18th here at Bella Vista Country Club. That's both gross and net, and that is eligible for anyone that wants to get in, any member that would like to play in those events. Other teaching programs, we've got Operation 36 going full force. There's another junior session that'll start in August the 20th. And Ladies Chip and Sip, I believe there's going to be a fall session for that. Hannah Hellier and Megan Vaughn, the two ladies that teach that program, are currently putting something together, so more information coming on Ladies Chip and Sip. And that's all I have for you today. Any questions about anything? Thank you, guys.
Please announce that earlier this week we did check presentations for the Golf for Charity. This is the event that the POA donates the green fees for all golf courses for that day. Plus, we had sponsors. We had Socket To Me. We had the silent auction, the wine pull. So it's a partnership with the Bella Vista Foundation, and I'm pleased to announce that in total, $59,500 in proceeds were distributed to all area charities, all Bella Vista specific charities. So really, really impressive. Really pleased that so many of our golfers came out that day and played to support charity. That's it.
That was about 20,000 from last year.
It was very record setting by a long shot.
Along that same line, the Socket To Me that many of you worked and helped out with is we raised $3,087. It was $200 and some more than we reported originally, because when we went through the socks again, we found more money. So that's always pleasant. So that was a fun activity.
Was it your sock where the
No,
money
son,
was hidden?
it wasn't mine,
Okay,
thank
I just
you.
wasn't sure.
But as long as we found more money, it was okay, whoever's it was. So, but we appreciate all the help and the volunteers, and it worked out well, and we thank each of you for doing so. So, any questions for Tom? Board? Jerry? No? About the audience? Any questions? Keith? No way. Kyle? No? Okay, good move, good move. Okay, old business. We brought up a couple of months ago the fact that winter cart path discussion was necessary to have, and I think today's a good time to bring it up because we've all talked about the fairways, et cetera. So the original plan was to put out a survey of some nature. Is that still what we're looking at, or do we feel there's another answer or anything in particular? Graham, do you have anything in mind that you'd like to see?
I think if we could do as we were discussing.
Mike.
I think if we could do as we were discussing in the last meeting and designate certain golf courses that would be kind of walking only through the winter, that may help. Potentially moving forward, that, you know, maybe we can, you know, if we have a different grass on our fairways that isn't susceptible to winter damage, maybe we wouldn't have to do that. But certainly going into this winter, I think it'd be a very good thing to do if we could get everyone on board.
My question is, if you have two golf courses that you take carts off of for the winter, and then you pick two more the next year, different ones, are you gonna lose what you gained from the first two golf courses that were closed?
That'd be really hard to quantify, I think. I mean, what you're doing is compacting the golf course, but it'd be very tough to quantify. But then when you're cold and driving over frozen soils, there's certainly, we've seen it in the spring, there's damage from, you can literally see tire tracks. So there's something happening. I think we still haven't identified, you know, the exact condition that's happening. And we know when it's cold, but, you know, I think there's a little bit of uncertainty, at least from our standpoint. When is it too cold for cart traffic? Yeah. You know, is that a certain degree in the soil? We're certainly at this point not out there measuring that. So I think maybe a little bit of uncertainty as far as, do you lose that the following year? Because I think it's happening in an instant. You know what I mean? I don't think it's a cumulative effect. Maybe I think it's happening in one period of time. So, but I haven't identified when exactly that is.
So even if you took it off for two courses, there may be times that on other courses, it just isn't feasible to have carts on the fairways because it's too cold.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, there's
So it
certainly
could be that
from a.
Sometimes it's necessary to close that as well.
I think the standard here is 35 degrees. You know, it must be above that. But what happens when you're coming off of something like we saw this winter, where it was -6, you know, for 3 days in a row, and it never got above 3 degrees, I think, and then it gets up to 40. You know, is there something frozen in the soil is that when our damage? You know, that's what we're maybe trying to figure out as far as, you know, when is this damage happening? I know in the yard, in the house we're renting in, we moved in April, and where my truck got off the driveway, it killed the Bermuda grass. And we didn't get here till April, so when is, that's my question, when is the damage, necessarily happening? Is it,
Okay, let's entertain.
What would this help? And I'm just spitballing here. I haven't really thought this out, and I love Graham's feedback on this. What if we said on all courses you can't drive on the fairway at all? You can drive in the rough, but then you have to walk from the rough to your ball in the fairway. And could we do it to where, let's say you start on number 1 at Country Club, and you create a path in front of the tee box that goes to the left rough, and you could go either right rough or left rough, and then zigzag back in front of the green and go back. Would that help, or is that just going to create all kinds of problems in our rough?
I think that would probably concentrate traffic. It would almost be, in my mind, almost be better to scatter and not try to create these lanes where everybody is continuously driving.
Okay.
One thing, David, on that is the blue flags. That's going to be the problem. We talked about this last time, is we should put something out to the membership. So I stood around in a couple shotguns and said, if I was to poll you right now, would you be willing to stay carts on path in the winter? And 90% of them are like, no, I won't play. So that's just a heads up. So I didn't poll everybody, because that'd be a waste of money, sending out all the paperwork, getting out in the mail to everybody. They won't do it. So, but I'm asking, and we challenge the JAC to come up with something. And if you don't want to say it in this meeting, I get it. We'll play with those people. You guys all play with those people that you don't want to say something, and then, well, thanks David for throwing us under the bus. Shoot me an email. Why don't I compile everybody's ideas and from your groups, and then we can sit down as a management, Graham and I, and come up with the best solutions, and then present it to you all. It's up to you.
I think at this point, if we're going to do a survey, we need to get it out.
We need to get it out.
Like in the next couple of weeks.
Jim?
Because we have to make a decision on what we're going to do, maybe even as early as next August, September at the very latest. We need to have a plan in place. Like if we're going to close 2 courses to cart path only, the membership needs to know that by October, because that's when it starts to get cold, right? And we're going to need to maybe even close some of these courses as early as October. So my proposal would be, if we're going to do a survey and not just use our feedback, and I think a survey is a great idea, I think that survey material needs to be back to us by no later than the end of August, so that we can make a decision in September.
Can't we do an online survey through the website? I mean, that's
Sure.
how we do it, because you could accumulate the.
Jim,
Yeah, we have MailChimp that we can do it.
Yeah, that's what I would.
Jim, go ahead.
Well, I definitely agree with Dave. I think the sooner we let people know, the better. And I've talked to a lot of people I play with, and they have no problem with it. So I don't know, it's different groups, different people. But and the other question I had was, what months are we talking about? I mean, that's kind of a hard decision to decide which months we do it. And I think it's got to be, if we decide it's, I don't know, November to something, it's got to be hard. I don't think if we get a month where it's warmer, we just open it up all of a sudden. I don't know if that's going to work or not.
When you talk to them, do you talk the 2 courses, or do you talk in general?
In general, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I know we tried a couple years ago to do the Champions thing where we had guys volunteer, and the groups made a good point in that if I'm putting a group of 60 guys together and I got one guy that says, yeah, I won't, and then he's partnered with a guy that says, no, I want to go out there, it's impossible for those group leaders, and I understand that 100%, and that's where our proposal broke down, and rightfully so. So I think this other proposal of looking at a couple of courses that we can say, and I think maybe if we do that, I think we have to do it, at least on one course, if nothing else, because I would love to show membership, here's what your course is going to look like if we are good to the course during the winter, and look at how good this course is going to look next year, and how much easier it is to bounce back in the spring instead of what we're dealing with, where we're still bouncing back. We're in middle of July and we're not there yet. We're guys sodding fairways in the middle of July. I would love to see it to where we don't have to deal with that kind of stuff.
You know, I think we've got a sensitized golfing group now. People, because of the fairways in all the courses, have had a lot of bad spots this year, so they know what's happening with the fairways. You know, if we can convince them that, you know, part of the problem is carts on the fairways during the wintertime, maybe there'd be more acceptance of being able to close a course down or two, or limit the carts on path only, or increase the number of days on carts on path. But I think that the number of people I've talked to have commented on the fairways, and we can make the point that it's going to help our fairways in the future. And we have this other program of looking at how we're going to improve the grass quality, as well as keeping the carts off during the susceptible months. This might be okay. Now is the time to do something with the golf groups.
Okay, you others that we haven't heard from, any particular feeling one way or the other? Do we have enough course or enough places to play in the wintertime if we have 2 carts on path that people can play if they don't choose to?
Yeah, that's where it's gonna get tricky. We're gonna have to reach out to group leaders, and the courses that are carts on path, would obviously, in our new form that we'd send out to winter group leaders, maybe put there, is your group willing to play carts on path only? If they mark yes, that's where they're gonna go. So that's where it's gonna be. What I really want from the committee is, say, 3 questions on your survey. Let's get it out. You're gonna do that?
I'll work. Okay. The only question I have is it carts on path for everybody, or carts on path except for blue flags?
That's a question was gonna come up, because in some of the groups that do have carts on path, will say, captains or group leaders will say, I'm good for carts on path. They got 10, 20 guys that are in the group that are gonna say, I can't play that week. Well, I can't play with you guys all winter. Now we're gonna have turmoil within the group, so good question. Don't know the answer.
We'll put together some surveys and we'll share it with Ruth, and she can decide to do with it. But give us an opportunity to come up with some questions, think about it, and debate the issue, as opposed to trying to come up with the questions off the fly. That'll be challenging.
We can shoot some questions that we would like to ask to you.
Yeah.
Agree, please do.
Yeah.
That's what I said, shoot me
We're
stuff.
just gonna try and
we'll
keep
go.
it to real, like 3 or 4 or 5 questions, just quick, boom, boom, boom. And then we'll get the most participation. And we can send it just to the people that get the golf newsletter.
Yeah.
Jim?
Tom, on what online survey like that, what's the percentage of response do you think we'd get?
If we send it, I don't know. I mean, if we send it to the golf email database, we should get a decent number. If we keep it short, because people like short surveys, they don't like long ones. So if we keep it short and we send it to the golf email, we might get a decent number. What's a decent number? I don't know. If we can get over 1,000, I think that gives us a pretty good idea. But I really don't know. We did a survey that went out to the entire membership 5 years ago, and we received 12,000 responses, and that was to everybody. So if we can get 1,000 responses to, I really don't know.
And I would just propose that all the golf leaders be aware of this survey and encourage their groups to go online and respond to the survey.
Yeah.
Can I ask for a general consensus that the group agrees that the survey right now is the best answer?
Yes.
Any opposition?
And a survey needs to be done ASAP.
Okay, so you have support on that area, so. Any other discussion on CARP? If not, Dave, you can miss that. If you're not Dave or myself, take one of those numbers out, if you would, please.
I'll look at the number first.
While they're doing that, we have 7 applicants for 1 position opening on the golf course or on the golf committee. They are to fill out their questionnaire. We sent them 3 questions that we asked them to complete, and the questions were, what are 2 things that made you want to apply for the golf advisory? What makes you a good fit for the committee? And identify 1 area that you feel golf experience might be improved in Bella Vista. That's in addition to their regular application that was sent out. Those are due Friday, probably at midnight because it said Friday. So early Saturday or Sunday at the latest, I will be sending you all the information each applicant has sent in. I will be asking you to identify your top 3 choices and send back to me, and then we'll evaluate from there and hopefully have them ready to go so that the board can have them by their work session on Thursday. That's our plan. So if you're aware that they're coming either Saturday or Sunday, and get the vote back to me right away, your top 3 choices, and we'll go from there. And whoever has the top will be the one we send further. But there are 7 candidates at this time.
Are you gonna interview them?
No, they're answering those questions plus the original application they sent in. So you'll get everything. If you have certain comments about the individual people that I sent to you and would like to share with everybody, then go ahead and send that in as well. And share with everybody, so, okay? You have just received a number. Does anybody have number 1? Nobody has number 1? You have number 1. Which course do you want? Tanyard, all right? You want to put these down? Come on. Okay, who has number 2? Anybody have number 2? You have number 2, which course do you want? You can take any course you want.
I'll stay at the country club.
You'll stay at the country club. Number 3? What's your course? You'll stay at Scottsdale. 4? Kingswood, Burksdale. Number 5? No, number 5. Number 6? Which course do you want?
Did Highlands get taken in? I didn't.
No, nobody's going.
Nope, nobody's, yeah. All right, you're taking Highlands. So, the new person has, which course is left? Does anybody know right offhand? What, Dogwood. So the new person on board will be Dogwood. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, budget items for this next year. As I sent to you the information that we have been asked by the board and Tom in general to put together recommendations for the budget for next year, understanding that several large projects have been undertaken, so there won't be unlimited amounts of money, so we need to be a little careful what we look at. Today, I'm simply asking for brainstorm ideas. Nothing's off limit. So anything that you would like to bring up, and then we'll go from there to narrow them down and to talk about them at a later date and bring them back. So let's open it up to brainstorming of ideas as to what you'd like to see in budget.
I have 2 ideas. One of them, you got taking notes? Anyway, I'm sorry.
We are recording.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Leveling of tees. Is it something that's been my pet peeve for a while? And especially, I don't know what to do about the gold tees, but there are a lot of gold tees out there that aren't. I get a lot of complaints from the women that they're just not level. And so I put on the list is leveling the tees.
Okay.
And the other idea is to fund the resodding or replanting of fairways in a golf course. My selection would be Highlands as a major project.
Others? Go ahead.
I'd vote for grass.
For grass.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's high priority on my list. Yeah, number 1. Yeah.
Okay. Others?
I'm with Jim. I think that's, to me, the main priority for us is to figure out how we can avoid having winter kill as much as possible, and how we can keep our courses beautiful year-round. And grass, and so I really applaud what Graham's doing, the experiments that we're going through right now to try to figure that out.
I see a lot of head shaking. Talk to me. Okay.
Absolutely.
And I definitely agree with Gary on the tee boxes, but I assume that's something, if you're gonna re-sprig, you'd be doing the tee boxes as well? Or,
If we're gonna re-level tees, there's a bit more work involved, but that's something we could potentially do. If we had those two machines, the sod to sprig process, it gives us a lot of flexibility. Let's say we wanted to stay Bermuda on the tees for whatever reason, maybe it's faster to recover on the par threes, whatever the case may be. We can still sprig that with Bermuda. You know, we've got a lot more flexibility. If we still have courses, maybe we don't get to all courses with the zoysia grass. Maybe there's still some Bermuda courses where we have some winter kill. We can do that in-house, and all of a sudden the cost of repair goes way down if we own those machines. So we have a lot of flexibility if we were to invest in those as a POA.
so that, you're saying that also would make it easier to level some of the tee boxes or work on those as well, or is that a different process?
Yeah, that would be a different process. Certainly something we can accomplish within the POA though.
I would say the machine, then we ought to have the machine to do the job, whether we can do it in-house, that should be in the budget.
There's another issue when we talk about carts on pass or limiting the carts on the fairway, is typically the people forget to bring the sand bottles out to sand the divot. And so maybe we could have a program where we, along the fairways, put a little sand dispenser where they could, it wouldn't be all the way to the cart, but it'd be close to the rough line.
What's that gonna do for the mowers, though?
Well, I would put it in, maybe put it by a tree stand that's
So-
got wood chips.
Yes, we did an experiment down on Highlands number 2, and we put sand buckets down there. We had more complaints about people hitting the sand buckets, knocking them up. Just hang on, let me finish, Gary. Knocking them over and stuff like that. If your cart is right there by the cart path, carrying a sand bottle out is not much. If you have a sand bucket and your ball's here, it'd be longer to walk backwards and forwards. Your cart is always opposite where you hit 90% of the time. Just grab the sand bucket, that's all.
Well,
That's
I know,
easy.
if we could train the people to grab a bucket or a bottle when they go out, that would
Sure.
eliminate the problem, but
But then you've also got to fill those sand things on the golf course. And the maintenance staff, I know Carl's sitting there, and I'm speaking on their behalf. Imagine going around and putting them up on all the fairways. It's hard enough to do the par threes. I'm strongly against that because we've tried it, but
I'm not
that's
talking
my
about,
opinion.
I'm not talking about buckets, I'm talking about putting a bottle, like we have at the pro shop.
The only other thing I would like to spitball on possible for the future is we've taken a lot of trees out. I'd like to see a tree program to add more trees again in certain areas. Like it has changed the playability of certain holes because the trees are gone, and it's made the courses in some cases too easy in a sense, like number 9 on Scottsdale. Without those trees on the left, it just opens that whole extreme. So if we're going to take big trees out, we need to think about the future and putting trees back in.
Other ideas? Other ideas?
The only other idea I have is I never want to do this job again.
Yeah, we could do it the Army way and put you all in a hat and draw out and see who it is, so. I don't want to do it that way, but any other ideas? What I'm hearing, and correct me if I'm wrong, that fairways and tee boxes are high priorities for grass. Yep. That's where we're looking right now for 90% of it. And I understand trees, we talked about that earlier. But if we concentrate as a committee and say that we think that the money available for golf, or part of the money available for golf, or our position is whatever we can possibly get out there to put for grass on tees and fairways is what we're backing.
And the equipment to go with it.
That equipment, you've got to have that to make it feasible for us to even think about doing
And we have,
the rest of it.
how many now?
We have 0. We had to contract the process.
Okay, so we contracted. Okay, well, I felt we were short in that area, but yeah.
Does the maintenance have their own budget, or is that part of the total golf budget?
Maintenance has their own.
Yeah, so maintenance has their own budget, and golf operations is willing to give everything to them and won't ask anything from you guys from golf operations. As long as we can have fairways. How about that? You like that, Graham?
But
Merry
it
Christmas,
but it
buddy.
sounds like that we're looking at fairways and tee boxes and say that's our priority. And if that's our priority, it makes this nice and easy. We simply say, the golf committee recommends any money available goes towards fairways and tee boxes. We stand on that? Make the motion?
You bet. I'll make that motion.
Okay? A second?
Second.
All those that agree? We've just made our budget recommendation. No, we don't have to get together again. We're done for the year. We're done for the year.
When do we get to adjourn?
We're not there just yet, but stick with us. Stick with us.
I move to adjourn.
Okay. Okay, so there we stand on that. All those in favor, did we vote already? Was that what the problem he has, is we've already voted? Okay. And so we'll turn that in, we'll get that ready to go for our budget, and if anything else should come up between now and then, let's hope not, that's where we'll stand on that issue. And so, before we adjourn, which somebody wants to do so badly, is that I will be sending stuff out on Saturday, Sunday at the very latest. I plan to do it Saturday, so please make sure you get it back as soon as you can, and that way we can get it to the board before Thursday's meeting, and they can run it through Thursday and then the following one as well. So, okay? Any other information? Anything else for the good of the cause? If not, we thank you very much, Dave, for doing the job for us today. No, you're going to give it to Kimala.